Dark here. Okay. All right. Okay, we are live with our latest candidates with a contract and CFAR signer. Russ, I'll let you introduce yourself so I don't mess up your last name.
Hi, everyone. My name is Russ Cirincione, and I'm running for Congress in New Jersey's 6th District, and I have signed the CFAR because it represents everything that I believe in. So,
and also CWAC, which is more of an anti-corruption contract. So you signed both. And a lot of our candidates have signed both because they're really on the same page with a lot of the issues. So it's been a while since I've interviewed a candidate, and I'm so happy to be back doing this because all of you guys are just such an inspiration. I think, maybe Bernie started it, but you just see across the country these great candidates, no matter what their party label. They're, green, independent, even a couple of Republicans, just want to represent the people. So let's start with what made you decide to run, a little bit of your background, and I'll let you go from there.
All right. So here's my background. I am a public servant. I am a government attorney for housing justice, and I defend, make sure that everybody complies with the rent stabilization law in New York. Mm-hmm. So as a public service attorney, we really care about protecting affordable housing, but I think that we have to guarantee housing as a right in this country. Because of my background, I've seen how important housing is to everyone. We all need a roof over our heads. We all need a safe place that we can come home to and relax and wind down and prepare for the next day. So I think that there are way too many homeless people in this country, and we have to fix that. Right. I drafted a few bills that became law this year in June, that protect tenants from these unscrupulous and predatory lenders that really trick manufactured housing tenants into paying a lot of money and not getting what they actually pay for. So I have experience as a legislator too. And, I really just decided to run because my 2.5-year-old son is obviously, he's the most important part of my life and my wife's life. And the climate crisis threatens his future. And I'm extremely, extremely worried about my son having to deal with things like drought, like mass extinctions, like fighting for food and water. So I decided that we need a representative in our district that actually cares about protecting the environment, cleaning up the world we live in. So when the Green New Deal resolution came out, I was super excited because it's the path forward to getting to where science says we have to be. And my representative said that it's impossible. But I know that it's actually mandatory if we want to save the planet for our kids, if we want to save the planet for ourselves. And then, looking into his background, he takes money from the fossil fuel industry, and he has single-handedly been blocking the Green New Deal because he chairs the Energy and Commerce Committee, and he has the power to hold that bill in committee forever and never get a vote on it. So I decided to run because my son's future is literally at stake, and the greatest threat to my son's future are the people who are supposed to represent me that refuse to hold the fossil fuel companies accountable. And running in this primary is the most important thing that I can do for my son.
Well, back to the housing issue for a minute. I think it's just sad, the studies that have come out that say no one in any state can afford a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, I believe, on minimum wage. And I guess we can thank the housing bubble for that. And to tie in water, I think this is interesting. Have you seen the movie The Big Short? Right. And at the end, the guy that was kind of behind all that, he's investing in water. What does that tell you, now? But I think
he's investing In water, yeah.
Right.
So that means that he thinks it's going to be scarce, and there's going to be wars over water in the future.
Right. Right. It's very telling. But I think, we've definitely not returned back to pre-bubble prices for housing. And this is one of the things I talk about a lot, because I feel like, your home, as you said, it's necessary. It's your stability. But, when you have to spend 50% of your income on rent or a mortgage, I think for, some of the older generations, they purchased their homes prior to the bubble. And it's just sort of, they're kind of out of touch for what that's like for people trying to buy or rent today. And I'm sure especially New Jersey is not cheap, right?
No, it's not cheap at all. To afford a, I think, 2-bedroom apartment, you have to make $27 an hour. And affordability is housing costs 1/3 of your income. That's the standard.
Right.
But you're right. Across the country, we're seeing the prices of homes and even apartments just skyrocketing. And the problem really is there hasn't been a federal investment in public housing in a very, very long time.
Right. Right. Well, I was reading a little bit about Frank Pallone. Am I pronouncing his name correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and that he basically just said about taking money from fossil fuel industry and other places that, well, he couldn't get the votes otherwise to not do so. That it was just like part of the game, it sounded like, and it's just more of the same. But I did some research into your district, and I think the biggest thing that the grassroots candidates can do is to try to reach people that are typically the non-voters, I think. And so when you look at, you've got a population of roughly 730,000, I think that's the latest numbers I could find. And it looks like in 2016 there was a pretty good turnout at 36%, which is sad to say that that's good. But and then in 2018 it was 30%. But I mean, that's still so many people that aren't voting. And so why is that? I did also see that 48% of New Jersey voters are registered unaffiliated, and you've got closed primaries. So I wonder, is that something that you're talking about in your campaign to let people know? Because I remember this in New York, that it was it's like 50. You have to change. You can change your party, but you have to do it 55 days prior.
Yep. Yeah. So if you're registered as unaffiliated, then you have to change in advance, 55 days more in advance. But if you're not registered at all, which is honestly not that many people, but you can register with a new party the same day of the primary.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah, but really we have to get those unregistered, unaffiliated voters onto our side.
Right.
Because if 70% of people are not voting, that means they feel that they've been left behind by the political process.
Right.
They just either they don't care, or they just feel like their vote doesn't matter. And that's a very sad thing in democracy, because when you look at other democracies across the world, they have a very high voter turnout, like in the 80s and 90% range.
Right.
Like, what are we doing wrong in America? And I think the thing that we're doing wrong is the corruption, the legalized bribery that's so rampant in politics. And you mentioned the incumbent took $500,000 from the fossil fuel industry over the course of his career. And I actually had the chance to ask him, will he stop taking fossil fuel money? Because realistically, any candidate that takes fossil fuel money will never give us a Green New Deal, will never protect our planet the way we need to. And he essentially told me that in his own words, he said the money doesn't influence him. And we all know that's a lie, because we can see what he's been doing. He's proposed his own plan that does not fulfill scientific requirements. His plan calls for natural gas up until 2050, and we know if we even stay on natural gas for that long, then our planet is pretty much done.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the same goes for, money from any industry. I mean, if you're taking money from the health insurance industry, you're not going to go for Medicare for all. It's a conflict of interest. So you can find anything about these candidates now on opensecrets.org, and unfortunately, money talks. So they may say one thing even and not actually do it.
You're exactly right on the money from the insurance industry and the drug lobbies.
Mm-hmm.
The incumbent took $1 million from the insurance and pharma lobbies last year alone. 40% of his fundraising came from those industries. Mm-hmm. He will never fight for Medicare for all. Never, ever will he care about universal health coverage or single payer. Mm-hmm. And he said it. He said it on multiple occasions. He said he thinks it's socialism. He's afraid of his biggest donors calling him a socialist. And I'm saying the exact opposite. We need full coverage. There's 45,000 people in this district with no health insurance. Mm-hmm. We pay the 5th highest in the nation for our health insurance here too. And why is that? It's not because we're sicker. It's because they know that they can gouge us because we have no other options.
Right, exactly. And I think, maybe just steering, it's tricky when you get down to using labels and words. You might ask someone that maybe they voted for Trump and they were an independent and it was kind of an anti-establishment vote, and you use the word socialism, they're like, no, I don't want that. But when you start getting down into the details about it, everyone is affected by these skyrocketing premiums, right? Yeah. So, I think it's important. That's kind of the best way to, I guess, reach people. And I always mention this book. Have you read this?
I have not, no, but I've seen it before.
Yeah, or you can, see any of his interviews, lots of different places, Thomas Frank. But, this book is really about how the Democratic Party left the working people behind. And so, there's certainly the segment of people who voted for Trump that are your hardcore right-wing, people. But I think there are also a lot of people that it was just their anti-establishment vote. And I think it's important to get those people back, or even and the people that didn't vote at all. So, with the I have seen that you tweet quite a bit about health insurance expenses. And there was a tweet yesterday. Actually, I saw this wasn't you. Oh, this is someone else. But I just got real exciting news about my ACA plan. They said my costs are going down. In 2019, I paid $12,000 and $7,000 deductible. In 2020, I will pay, drumroll, $11,998.20 and a deductible of $7,400. So that's what we're getting. And, obviously the Affordable Care Act did do some important things like the pre-existing conditions, and we don't want any of that to be taken away, but it's just not good enough. Some people can, I guess, absorb these costs, but as you said, more will just go without completely. And the fact that you can go bankrupt in this country for medical bills is just unacceptable.
Correct. Yeah.
So, what are some of your other top issues? If you want to get into anything, or anything like specifically locally there?
We have a lot of top issues. Well, I guess locally, we want to lower New Jersey property taxes. Mm-hmm. We want to lower property taxes really countrywide because, our school systems are mostly funded by property taxes, and that results in, places where the property taxes are higher have better schools. Also, New Jersey is one of the top 10 most expensive states to live in. Our average property taxes are about $9,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And it goes to funding our local schools. So I would like to federally invest in our local schools on a national level from the federal government's education budget, pay for the elementary, middle school, high schools, in this country from a federal level, because most states do not get a lot of funding from the federal government. In New Jersey, our property taxes account for 55% of the entire education budget. While comparing that, the money that we get from the federal government accounts for about 1% of our education budget. So we're really seeing the burden of creating good schools, good public schools, fall on property owners in New Jersey. And I'd say in our district, about 60% of people own a house. And it's also contributing to a housing crisis here, because people cannot afford their homes, because every year their property taxes go up a few percentage points, and they're eventually priced out of their home just because of property taxes.
Right, right. It's very sad in America that, I think most people want good schools for their kids. And if you can't afford that, top district, you're just kind of out of luck. So, and of course, education is not always about money. They're good teachers, and schools with less money, but they definitely need money. So, yeah, okay.
Yeah, they definitely do. I think that public education is so important, because it's really the foundation of our democracy, right? If we want a free-thinking society, we need free thinkers, and we need a strong education system that will allow people to grow and know what's possible for them and stuff. So that's why it's super important to me. My wife's also a teacher, and I understand the value of a good education system, and teachers really are getting they're overworked and underpaid, in my opinion.
Yes. I remember an email that circulated around when my daughter, who's now in high school, was in elementary, and it was like, if you had to pay a teacher just like a babysitting rate per hour per kid, like how much, that would be compared to their salary. So they're definitely extremely underpaid. And I think we could attract more great teachers if we gave them a living wage, right?
Exactly.
And then
the starting salary for most teachers in New Jersey is around 55 or 55K, and they're asked more and more to do more in their classrooms and after school. Right. I just think that teachers are some of the most important people in our society, and we need to make sure they have living wage. So you're right.
Yes, that's where our kids are all day. And the fact also that teachers are having to go out and buy their own supplies sometimes. I mean, I know this is probably across the country now, but you're asked to bring supplies at the beginning of the year, and that's got to be a huge burden on some people to do that, or the teachers are taking it on themselves. So I'm sick and tired of our teachers having to deal with a shoestring budget and never having enough to provide for their kids. And what does it tell you about our tax code when a billionaire's jet is fully tax deductible, but if you're a teacher and you buy chalk and textbooks for your kids, it's only deductible for $250 a year. There's a limit on what our teachers can get a tax credit for, but there's no limits for billionaires' jets. Doesn't make any sense to me. We have a backwards system, and nearly every aspect of the tax code is backwards. We have to change it. What does your wife teach?
She teaches special needs for second graders.
Oh, okay. Great. Honorable profession, and takes a lot of patience,
Oh yeah, a ton of patience, but I'm super thankful because she's the greatest mom that my son could have, and I love her more for her willing to sacrifice and be there for her kids.
I think we also need to make some other changes with education to sort of engage kids more. A lot of my high school student tells me all the time it's not fun learning. It's like hands-on stuff would be so much more engaging and they would learn, but you're stuck in a desk, with papers and, there's so many things that we could do, to change it and not just teach to the tests. It's like they're just put there to memorize things and regurgitate it for a test. One of my favorite websites with when she's got a project or something is the Zen Education Project. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It's really interesting, especially for history lessons and stuff. But okay, so I also wanted to so back to we started talking a little bit before we went live about the election integrity stuff, and I've been involved with that. And so I called the Middlesex County. So you're Monmouth, is it Monmouth and Middlesex County is your district?
Monmouth and Middlesex, yeah.
Okay. So they have had this Dominion, what's called a Dominion DRE push button, which those have been known. I mean, they're really old and they've been known to have all kinds of problems. There was a candidate, another CWAC candidate in Louisiana that sent us a video showing that someone was trying to vote for him and they kept pushing the button and it was lighting up the other candidate repeatedly. And he ended up leaving. He reported it and he never knew how it was counted. There's no paper trail. Yeah. So
wow.
That's what you have in your district is that machine. But they are changing. They bought new ones in Middlesex County. And that's going to be the ES&S Express Vote, which is definitely a huge improvement. I've got to do a little bit more research on it exactly, but I believe that one passes inspection. But the problem is I called to find out, will it be for November or for the primary in June? And they don't know yet. So I wanted to recommend that you look into Smart Elections and also Audit USA. But Smart Elections is an organization that's been started by journalist Lulu Freistadt, and she's written a lot of really great articles. She covered what happened in Florida's 23rd, Broward County, with Tim Canova's race. And so she is looking to create action hubs where there will be activists across the country that can put some pressure on boards of elections, show up to meetings, and when they make these decisions about what machines to purchase. So I wonder if that might be something. It's kind of a big undertaking, but if you had a volunteer on your campaign that might be interested in keeping up with that or helping organize with Smart Elections, but just to maybe put the pressure on, are you going to have these rolled out for the primary in June? So if you're interested,
that's a great idea. We'll get somebody on that. A volunteer, actually, a couple of volunteers have noted the faulty vote counters, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's very, very cool. That action hub set up, great idea. We'll get somebody on board with that.
Okay, wonderful. And I thought of something else with that, with the 55, with having to vote, register with the Democratic Party to vote for you 55 days before. I was thinking it would be great because of what happened in New York, we heard a lot about this, that people wanted to vote, and I think it was longer than that, wasn't it? A couple months, maybe?
I think you had to change your registration by October of that year or something.
Right. So I wondered if you have we'll have a big push to sort of get the word out about that. And I don't know, I was counting back and I thought, okay, well, that's basically the 1st of April. You could say, don't get fooled out of voting.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, just to sort of something catchy that will get people's attention so they know to do that. And so one other organization I'd like to mention, have you ever heard of Hello Voter?
Yes, I think I did.
So are you using any kind of, canvassing tools and stuff? Because I know, I was just reading about how so the Democratic Party has all these rules, basically, against people running against an incumbent, right, to kind of keep them down. And one of them was denying access to the vote builder, I believe it is, NGP van, also all the information that they have.
That's what happened with me. That's what happened with me. They provide NGP van to every single Democrat that's running. unless you're challenging an incumbent. So all the people that ran for city council as a Democrat this past election, they all got NGP van for free. I asked for NGP van, and they told me, no, we can't honor your request. And I'm basically like, why? I'm a Democrat. I'm running the Democratic ticket. And they're silent on that. But the answer is because I'm challenging an incumbent.
Right.
And that's a very undemocratic thing, if you ask me.
Yes, it is.
To deny an incumbent challenger the same data. But we have to create our own data. And,
yes.
And so, yeah, we have been using some canvassing tools. And I definitely am interested in Hello Voter.
Great.
Fortunately enough, the clerks of the county were more than willing to provide the voter registration, so that's a good thing. But the state Democratic Party said no to NGP ban.
Well, I mean, the things they've done, like they have a list of like anybody that works with someone challenging an incumbent is like blacklisted or something, and then it was an article in Wired that I saw this about the denying access to NGP van. I believe it was a Justice Democrat, Anthony Clark's campaign in Illinois.
Anthony Clark, yes.
Yeah. So I think, fine, you have to build your own or do your own thing. And so Hello Voter is I'll send you all the information for it, but it's completely free. And they have some tutorial videos, but we're going to be doing more on the CWAC page to explain to candidates how they can use it. But yeah, it's totally free. It's canvassing tools. It's wonderful. These guys have done it. The work that they have done for like no profit, it's just amazing. So I think that's we have to start banding together and finding solutions around. They want to keep a challenger down. We have to find something other way around it, right?
Wow, yeah, this is awesome. Wow.
Yeah. So I will send you both of those, the information for Smart Elections and also for Hello Voter. And maybe you can. They have an app too for the phone, so you can get all your volunteers when they're going door to door, and they can use the app and enter information. So.
Thank you. That's great.
Yeah. Well, so is there anything else in particular like that we've missed, or that you want to say to anyone that might see this in your district? Hopefully, you can share this on your page.
I will. Yeah, I definitely will. So we're running a progressive grassroots campaign, and 100% people powered, no corporate cash. We want to end corruption. That's the biggest thing. We take, we take that very seriously. We want ethical rules to apply to Congress. We want a duty of loyalty to represent the people. No private interests, no special interests. And our website, if you want to check it out, is russforus2020.com, RUSSFORUS2020.com. And yeah, so I really think that now is the time to get involved in a campaign if you haven't so far. And I really appreciate the opportunity, Kelly. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's great to meet you. And I'll send you that information.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Hello Voter looks great, and I'm excited. But,
okay, great. Okay, thank you so much.
All right, Kelly. Thanks. Bye.
All right, bye.